The newfound friendship between Ethiopia and Eritrea has started bearing fruit. On Wednesday afternoon, the two countries in the Horn of Africa resumed commercial airline flights for the first time in 2 decades, with emotions spilling over into the aisles and onto the tarmac as families were reunited. 2 flights left Addis Ababa within minutes of each other, and an hour and a half later touched down in the Eritrean capital Asmara, in the latest phase of a whirlwind peace process between the former foes that began just 6 weeks ago. A journalist from a French news agency on one of the flights reported passengers singing and dancing on the aisles, overwhelming flight attendants before falling into the arms of long-lost family members upon their arrival. The airline wrote on Twitter shortly after takeoff that the bird of peace has just flown to Asmara. Champagne was served to passengers in all classes, who toasted each other and posed for selfies during the flight. Smiling flight attendants also handed out roses to passengers. Ethiopian Airlines, one of Africa's fastest growing carriers, has said it would initially operate a daily return flight between Addis Ababa and Asmara. When the planes landed, passengers poured onto the tarmac, where they danced together in a cheering crowd who welcomed them waving the flags of the 2 nations. Family members torn apart for the war sobbed as they were reunited. Among the passengers on the first flight was former Prime Minister Haile Mariam Desalegn, whose shock resignation in February was the first step in a series of seismic shifts in the politics of Ethiopia and the Horn of Africa. Haile Mariam was succeeded in April by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, a 42-year-old former army officer and cabinet minister described by analysts as the man in an extreme hurry. After announcing the liberation of parts of the Ethiopian economy and releasing jailed dissidents, Abiy last month declared his intention to make peace with Eritrea after 2 decades of frozen relations. Eritrea was once part of Ethiopia and comprised its entire coastline on the Red Sea until it voted for independence in 1993 after decades of bloody conflict. A row over the demarcation of the shared border triggered a brutal conflict that lasted between 1998 and 2000, leaving 80,000 people dead before evolving into a bitter Cold War. Abiy stunned observers with his announcement that he would finally accept a 2002 United Nations-backed border demarcation. However, he has yet to announce a pullout of troops. He then paid a historic visit to Eritrea, during which he and President Isaias Afwerki declared an official end to the war. Afwerki reciprocated with a state visit to Ethiopia just days later. The emotional reunion has been welcomed by Ethiopians who share strong cultural ties with Eritreans and have been cut off from friends and family on the other side during the long years of enmity. On Monday, Afwerki reopened Eritrea's embassy in Addis Ababa. The rapprochement is expected to provide an economic boost to both nations, offering booming Ethiopia, which currently channels its trade through Djibouti ports, and access to Eritrea's coast. Amnesty International has said a new peace should be a catalyst for change in Eritrea, one of the world's most isolated nations. Since the end of the war, Isaias has used the threat of Ethiopian aggression to justify repressive policies, including an indefinite national service program. The UN has linked to slavery.